Hello ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and this is KSP to Mars with Lorenzo, which is me, explaining what's going on. Today in episode 18 we join Bill Kerman, one of the illustrious three, in his quest to get science data from high space over Kerbin. His rocket has carried him up to an apoapsis of 35,000 kilometers, and to put this in perspective, this is about the orbit of the moon in stock KSP. In real KSP, of course, it's not quite yet out of the moon, so about 1/10 of the way there. So, approaching that apoapsis now, Bill Kerman is going to peek outside and ask the science gods whether this in fact counts as high space. It does not. So, there's nothing to it for Bill than to return to the planet and build a bigger rocket, and that is precisely what he's going to do. So let's fast forward to the re-entry and see if he actually makes it back home. And while Bill is re-entering, let me talk to you about some problems with temporal mechanics. Nothing scientific coming up here. Just what I want to say is that these episodes are not necessarily made immediately when I put them on the website. This is episode 18. I'm recording this post-commentary at the same time as I'm releasing episode 13. Simultaneously, I already have footage for episodes 19 and 20, which I still have to process and put online. This is not a problem. In fact, it's quite nice because it gives me an opportunity to take some time off, not play the game, do other things, and still have videos for you guys. It becomes a problem, or more like an annoyance, when one of the commenters discovers something that I have been doing wrong. Case in point here, at episode 12, Nathan Kell, the actual creator of the Real Solar System mod that I've been happily using in this series, pointed out that my installation of Ferrum Aerospace was quite broken. I had forgotten to put one of the important folders in the mod file, and well, that breaks things. So, all the episodes up until episode 20 will have stock Kerbal aerodynamics, and this doesn't play very nice with the Real Solar System. It makes the rockets go very, very slowly down low in the atmosphere. It's a long explanation, but in short, it's not a long explanation. What happens in the stock game is that all the parts have drag, regardless of whether they're exposed or not, and the drag is dependent on mass as well. Well, if you've had a Physics 101 class somewhere, you know that doesn't make any sense. It gives a decent enough approximation of the game, better than just having no atmosphere, but it's not very good. So Ferrum Aerospace improves that, and for the rockets we've been launching, that would make them a fair bit more efficient, making them get out of the atmosphere quicker. So far we've been struggling uphill needlessly. So obviously I fixed it, but there won't be effects for that before episode 20. So from 21 on, expect the rockets to go a little bit faster. Great. So on to today. Bill Kerman got his re-entry is going fine. He will land soon, and then he's going to make a bigger rocket. Let's go to that and have a look at that rocket, shall we? So there we are on the launch pad, lifting off. Those explosions are just the do-it-yourself makeshift launch clamps. I put decouplers and small tanks under some of the engines to stabilize the rocket. What we're looking at today is a marvel of technology that makes good use of fuel lines. The rocket is fairly simple in itself. It has a first stage that's firing now, augmented by solid boosters. They will soon separate, and after that the first stage will burn out. That's just a straight up stage, no fuel line magic going on there. And as we move on to the second stage, we see that is rather complicatedly built. It's a so-called asparagus staging. This is a concept used a lot by KSP players. It's been developed in real life, but it's not really used because the fuel transfer logistics are fairly complicated in real life. Fortunately, in the game it's just a matter of clicking a fuel line and it just automatically happens. What we do is we have a stack of 6 boosters around the central core, and they drop off 2 by 2. But before they drop off, they drain fuel only from the tanks that are about to be dropped off. So at any point when some tanks and engines are dropped, the remainder of the stack is completely full. What this allows us to do is to shed mass more efficiently. So for example, in the big first stage, we had to wait until all of the tanks were empty before dropping all of it. This means that at the beginning of the stage it's very heavy and it's struggling to lift the rocket, but at the end of the stage it is fairly light and it has more thrust to weight ratio than we strictly need, and we have lifted all the engines all the way, being inefficient. Asparagus staging gets around that by dropping tanks and engines basically as soon as possible, so you take with you less dead weight and go further with the same amount of fuel. So after that launch, let's have a look at our orbital position, or as it's called, trajectory. As you can see here, we are on an escape trajectory. That's another historic first for the program. We had just have launched the first satellite to leave Earth forever. What I didn't mention, what I neglected to tell you, is that this craft is a probe. It's unmanned and it carries a science instrument. I think it was a goo canister, but I'm not positive now anymore. Anyway, and that the goal is to, well, sample stellar space or high Kerbin space, because the limiting factor here will be the electric charge in the batteries. We brought 1,000 units of electric charge, and as you can see, they're depleting rapidly, and it will take a while to reach stellar space. So we're going to have to settle for high space. And incidentally, we have discovered that high space is, at the very least, 41,000 kilometers. It could be a little bit less, but Bill was in orbit at 35,000 and that was still low space, so the boundary is somewhere between 35 and 41. So we got 3 science points from that transmission of the goo canister, because, well, we're not going to be able to return it, and the probe doesn't carry anything else. So not a huge amount of science gained here, but we have launched our first mission to stellar space, even though it will have run out of battery power by the time we get there. So, here we are actually transmitting the data. I thought we already did it, but we only did it now, and we get the 3 points now. That's the beauty of a post commentary. So, moving on. We're going to launch this rocket. It's pretty much the same, except it carries a materials bay instead of a goo container. They weigh about the same. The goo container is 0.15 tons and the materials bay is 0.2, so that shouldn't be a problem. Also, we're carrying a lot of batteries so that it can do a bigger shot for reaching stellar space, but if that's not possible, we will have to settle for high space. Let's have a look how that goes. Well, that went pretty well. The probe did have to do its science in high space because even these batteries couldn't make it. Anyway, some science gained. Bill is now riding the new rocket to have a go for himself. This rocket is new and improved over the one he used at the beginning of the episode. That wasn't shown. And he makes it to 45,000 kilometers. Gets the crew report and the EVA data. So, that is great. Bill is out on a roll doing science. We launched a lot of rockets this episode. Didn't get proportional amounts of science, but we did get a materials study and a goo container from high space, albeit through transmission, and now we got a crew report and an EVA report. So some good points in there. Now, of course, Bill has to go back, and if his ship can be recovered, that should give us some extra science points as well. While Bill goes around doing that, let me talk to you a little bit more about these pesky temporal mechanics. Today, as I'm recording this, it is Saturday the 18th of January, so it's not that big of a discrepancy, but it is a discrepancy. You're probably going to see this around the end of the week, and for this whole week I won't have any opportunity to make space programs. My girlfriend is coming over, my father is coming over, my sister and her boyfriend, they are already here, so there is going to be a lot of eating, showing the island, some diving hopefully, and quality social times, so not a lot of time for space videos. No matter, because I have a big stack of them prepared, but after this week some good friends of mine are coming over, so then we are going to do different things again. So after this I have episodes 19 and 20 prepared but not rendered yet. I should be able to squeeze them in somewhere this week, but be prepared to face a few days without my wonderful presence. I hope you can cope, and rest assured I will definitely be back to my wonderful subscribers. That is you. If you are not a subscriber yet, consider becoming one. I always like to see that counter come up, and we have friendly chats in the comments below these videos. Sometimes even the creators of these amazing mods I use come by, pitch in, tell me how I'm doing it horribly wrong, or some rocket designs are shared, and several people also have taken up the challenge of playing in the real solar system, so we have good times and you're most welcome. Here we see Bill landing in the desert and, of course, being scientifically minded, not neglecting to bring home some dirt, because, well, what you gonna do? A science point is a science point. That about concludes it for today's episode. Tomorrow, or well, as I said, it's not quite guaranteed it's going to be tomorrow, but for the next episode we are visiting the moon. Yes, you heard that right. We are going to make strides in our space program and visit the moon. As the last thing in this episode, let's have a quick look at the science station. Well, we got 24 science points in total, now not enough to buy anything, so we're going to stick with the fuel line technology that we already have. This was Lorenzo. Thank you for watching. Consider subscribing, liking or commenting. As I said, it's always appreciated and just nice. See you next episode. Have a nice day. Goodbye.